Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. May all be happy. May all be free from disease. May all see only goodness everywhere. May no one suffer. May there be peace, abiding peace everywhere by God's grace. The subject of my talk is meditation. This is the second part of my talk on that subject. So, now let me talk a little bit about how we get to know things which are outside of our bodies. Our scriptures say that the mind goes out of our body through some doors, and those doors are the organs of perception, such as the eyes, the ears, the nose, and the tongue, and the skin. These are called sense organs. There are 5 sense organs. The mind goes out. These are all doors for the mind. Our minds usually stay in our body, but then it goes out through these doors. And goes out, and then if there be an object such as a table outside, that will go and cover the table and take the form of the table. And the consciousness which is there in the mind will tell that this object is table and it is like this. In this way the mind goes out and gets to know outside objects. But the purpose of meditation is to experience divinity, experience God. How to know God? And God is called Brahman in Hinduism. Brahman means greater than the greatest. That is Brahman. Aside from that, there are many books which describe Brahman. Say Brahman is beyond time, space and causation. When this world was not there, then Brahman was there. Beyond time, space and causation. So if we want, the purpose of meditation according to our scriptures is to know Brahman. But how can one know Brahman? Well, the only way the mind can know Brahman is to go out through the sense organs and be focused on the object. But Brahman is transcendental, beyond time, space and causation. Is it ever possible for us to know Brahman? The Hinduism says in one place, yes, Brahman cannot be known through the mind and cannot be described through the words. Avang manaso gocharam. That means ordinary mind cannot know. But extraordinary mind, which is called pure mind, that can know Brahman. And meditation can help us to develop that kind of mind. Some analogies are given. That is, Brahman, if it is like an empty pot, and on that pot some oil is being poured into it. And the flow of oil to the pot, if it remains uninterrupted, then that is called meditation. And this oil is the mind. Pratyaya ekatanata dhyanam. That means when the thought becomes one-pointed, then that is called meditation or dhyanam. So, it is being poured there. That uninterrupted flow of oil from the bottle into the pot, that is an analogy of mind, a mind in meditation. Then another analogy is given. In a windless place, a candle is burning, its flame, you can see. That flame is undisturbed. So that flame is also considered an analogy of a mind which is in meditation. But I have already told you what the scriptures say. The scriptures say that divinity is beyond time, space and causation. So if somehow that divinity can be known by the mind, but how that can be described, because Brahman is beyond description. It cannot be described through words, nor can it be known by ordinary mind. So that's why I have developed my own analogy. That is, let us consider that Brahman is water in a pot. And the human mind is like salt. If the salt is put in water, it becomes dissolved, becomes one with water. That means the salt is like a mind which has been purified. And that, when it is focused on Brahman, becomes dissolved in Brahman. And if you go on pouring more and more salt into water, that salt will become a supersaturated solution of salt. Salt is sodium chloride. Supersaturated solution, it won't dissolve any more salt. And if you put more salt, that salt will not be dissolved, it will be lying at the bottom. That means a supersaturated solution of salt has been prepared. Then pour that supersaturated solution of salt into another pot. And then put one crystal of salt which is dissolved in it. Just one. And then a strange thing will start happening. This crystal will start a recrystallization process. The salt which is dissolved in that supersaturated solution, some of it will start coming out in the form of crystals. So also, a mind which has been dissolved in Brahman, Brahman is like that water, and it has become dissolved in Brahman. One thought, if somehow it can be retained, it starts, it allows a little bit of that mind to come out of that solution of Brahman. So when the mind becomes dissolved in Brahman, then that is called samadhi. But a portion of that mind can come back to this world of time, space and causation. If a certain thought can be retained by the mind, what is that thought? That is called lesha avidya in Sanskrit. Just a little bit of thought. What kind of thought? A thought of compassion. One who has known Brahman has become one with Brahman. But a little thought of compassion is there. That compassion will make that mind which is dissolved in Brahman, a portion of that mind to come out and establish contact with this world of time, space and causation. That only some divine incarnations can do that. Ordinary people cannot do it. And so only divine incarnations can return to conscious level after that samadhi. This is how Jesus resurrected. In Sanskrit it is called bhuthana, waking up in a special way. And Jesus' resurrection. Sri Ramakrishna would enter into that samadhi state, his mind would get dissolved, and then he could retain a thought of compassion for humanity, I think. And that would bring a portion of his mind back to the awareness of this world of time, space and causation. This is bhuthana. Sri Ramakrishna was a divine incarnation, that's why he could do that. Once he went to a village and then there he stayed, and he used to have samadhis, this highest state of samadhi called nirvikalpa samadhi. And from that state, then when he would be in samadhi, he would not have any body consciousness or world consciousness. From our point of view, he would die, his body would die. Even some doctors examined him at that time and declared him to be dead. But then again he would become alive. That means he would have bhuthana. He would come back from the state of that nirvikalpa samadhi. His mind would come back. And then he would talk about God and all these things. The same thing would be done by Jesus Christ also. He was God incarnated as Jesus Christ in Israel. And the people were not that highly developed spiritually. That's why God incarnated there. The Bhagavad Gita says, when there is decline of spirituality, then God bodies himself forth, takes on a body and comes in the form of divine incarnations. That's why God incarnated as Jesus Christ there. The ordinary people there, they did not know what was samadhi and what was bhuttana. That means how a person can become aware of this world after samadhi. When in samadhi, his practically his sense organs and everything die at that time. So only divine incarnations can do that. So they thought that he had died and his body was put in a grotto. And so one lady, Mary Magdalene, who was an admirer of Jesus, she had come there to anoint the body with something, as was the custom in Israel at that time. But the body was not to be found. Then the guards, one of the guards said, "Oh, he came out of the grotto and went away." And she started wondering, what is this? He has resurrected. And then she saw a gardener there. She thought she would ask the gardener about Jesus. But the gardener spoke and addressed Mary Magdalene as Mary. And then hearing the gardener's voice, they could understand it was the voice of Jesus. And Jesus said to Mary Magdalene, "Mary, go and tell my friends that I will see them in Galilee." Friends means whom we call apostles. He did not have the vanity of a teacher. That's why he called them friends. This is how divine incarnations behave. Sri Ramakrishna never thought that he had any disciples. God is the teacher. That's what he would say. So also was Jesus. So this samadhi is a very interesting thing. When meditation matures, it becomes samadhi. Because the mind, an average mind which is scattered, when it is withdrawn and focused on the thought of God, and if that mind can be focused there and made to stay there for 12 seconds, it is called dharana. Then when that is continued, that means if the dharana continues for 144 seconds, then that becomes dhyanam or meditation. And 12 times the duration of dhyanam, if the mind can be concentrated, then it is called samadhi. That means it will be 28 minutes, less than half an hour. And that samadhi will give the experience of divinity. But who will experience divinity? At that time the ego is gone. When a little bit of ego is left, then one cannot have that nirvikalpa samadhi. Then only divinity remains. As Sridhara Swami puts it, this divinity is like an ocean with countless waves in it. Each wave is an individual being. Because a being who identifies with his or her mind is a wave. But when that identification is not there anymore, then there won't be any waves, only divine ocean will remain. Infinity, eternity. That is Brahman. Now that I have talked about Nirvikalpa Samadhi, let me tell you a little bit about how that happens to a person. The scriptures of Hinduism say that the backbone of a person has inside it three very fine channels. The channel on the right side is called Pingala channel, and then the panel on the left side is called Ida channel, and the central channel is called Sushumna channel. And the spiritual energy of an individual being is at the base of that person's backbone. That is called in Sanskrit Mooladhara. It is stored up there. Like a snake goes into hibernation, so also this power of a person is, spiritual power of a person is in a state of hibernation there, so to say. And through meditation and other means, that snake becomes awake. And after becoming awake, that starts going up to the backbone. And usually, I talked about the three channels. The channel on the left side is called Ida channel, and on the right side is called Pingala channel, and the middle channel is Sushumna channel. Sushumna channel is closed at the bottom, so our energy cannot pass through that. But through the Ida channel and Pingala channel, energy passes. When you are resting or something, then that is at that time the energy is passing through the Ida channel. And when you are active physically and mentally, then the energy is passing to the Pingala channel. But Sushumna channel usually remains closed, because only when a person through meditation opens up that Sushumna channel, then the mind starts going up step by step. First, it comes near the organ of reproduction. Then the meditator has some experience. His body may start shuddering or something. And then it goes further up, and it comes to the level of the navel. That is called Manipura level. There the meditator will have some other experience. And then it will go further up to the level of the heart, which is called Anahata channel. At that time, the meditator will have some little experience of divinity. You can see God a little bit. Then it goes to the level of the neck, and it is called Vishuddha Chakra, Vishuddha level. And at that level, one can have the vision of God. And then it will go to the level which is in between the eyebrows. At that time one will have the experience of divinity, but still one will feel that one is different from divinity, different from God. There is some distance between them. Then it goes up, further up, at the top of the head, that spiritual energy. And that is called Sahasrara. At that time, one has Nirvikalpa Samadhi, one because identified with divinity. There will not be any individuality left at that time. So, the goal of meditation is to have this state when the dormant spiritual energy which is present in every person goes up through the Sushumna channel and meets the Sahasrara level, then that person is supposed to have Nirvikalpa Samadhi. At that time a person becomes one with divinity. Only those who are divine incarnations, they can retain a little bit of their mind through a thought of compassion, and then that can come back and teach us about Brahman and all these things. Brahman, which is Avang Manaso Gocharam, they try to talk about that as much as is possible. And it is they who are the teachers. They teach us what Brahman is. I have mentioned this many times because our scriptures say, Uttishtata Jagrata Prajya Varan Nibodhata. Arise, wake up, and finding the superior ones become spiritually enlightened. The superior ones are the divine incarnations. Otherwise we are like so many somnambulists. We have divinity in us but we are not aware of it. But we have to wake up. And then with the help of the teachings of the divine incarnations, we will experience that. What I have told you so far about Nirvikalpa Samadhi and everything, and what happens in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, that is all taught by these divine incarnations. They are also called avatars. Thank you for your patience, and may God bless us and give us peace. Thank you.